Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your ROH and TNA post show. We're sorry we're a couple minutes late. My internet is about as good as Logan Paul's moral compass, but we are here with the ROH TNA post show. I have no F's to give about that, but please get in your super chats. No Humper chats tonight for this portion of the show. Please leave a thumbs up on this video as well. We've got so much coming at you. We're going to talk about the fallout before Death Before Dishonor, this episode of Ring of Honor, which, as SP3 was saying, pretty much what you guys are saying. This ep was so smooth and much better than usual. C. Delgado saying that felt like an actual episode and not random matches thrown together. More of that, please. So we're with you guys on that for sure. We're going to talk all about this, but leave a thumbs up on that video, and we will also remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. So much went up there, unfortunately, including a Layla Hirsch injury news break update. Kind of was vague at the time. We know a little bit more about what's been going on with her now, but we saw that happen in front of our eyes on Death Before Dishonor. We were like, her shoulder's blown up. That happened immediately, but she's a badass, so she fought through it. Athena with her, just so injured leg. This women's division is so beat up. So we're going to get into all of this and more. But SP3, the chat saying what you said right before we went on air here. Like, this felt like a more cohesive episode. If this is the new era, sign me up. Let's keep this momentum going. But kind of overall, what were your thoughts on what we got out of Death Before Dishonor? And what were your thoughts about the follow-up that we got tonight?
I actually had expectations going into this show, which is very weird on a Thursday that I have expectations.
I was going to say a risky little move from SP3 right there. Dang, having expectations.
Hey, it's because Sean does great reporting. He reported the more care and consistent creativity. We had a great Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. So I actually had expectations. I tempered expectations, but I had expectations, and then they gave us the lineup for the show, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit of what I talked about with Death Before Dishonor, where they're giving you kind of the wrestling buffet. You got two guys of a certain stature, of Brian Cage and Rocky Romero. That feels like an actual main event. If you know Rocky Romero and all the great work he's doing in CMLL, all the great work he's done in the past in New Japan, and he's a former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion against Brian Cage, who's a guy that we've said for weeks should be in the either world title scene or TV title scene. So it was good to see him in singles action here. They gave us a high-flying matchup advertised with Beast Mortos and AR Fox. They gave us a Techers battle between Wheeler Yuta and Anthony Henry. So as soon as I saw the lineup, I was like, okay, my tempered expectations may have rise from give me a 6 show to a 6.5, 7 show. And then they gave us angles. They gave us some promos. This felt like an episodic wrestling show and not ROH Dark. So I was pleasantly surprised that my expectations, although tempered, were fulfilled on the show.
Do you feel like we went from the Ring of Honor feels like AEW Dark era to maybe the Ring of Hotties era tonight? Is that where your head's at?
Indeed, the Ring of Hotties is here, and we are living in it. It felt very much like, instead of Ring of Honor under Tony Khan feeling like WWECW, it felt like Tony Khan produces Ring of Honor on HDNet. I felt like it was Ring of Honor at HDNet style with the way this show played out.
Not mad about it. Not mad about that at all, but let's dive in. We do start off with this video package kind of recapping Death Before Dishonor, which I always think is a good call because if you drew people in with the pay-per-view, they might be like, hey, I'm going to stick around, right? I subscribed for the month anyway. Let me poke around and see what's up. So a nice way to start this. And even that shows us we had a creative thought process with laying out this episode, which it feels like has been missing for a long time. But we do start. This is one of my few complaints was this probably could have been the main event here, but we'll talk about what this all leads to. We have our ROH 6-man tag championships. Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs defeating the Iron Savages and Jack Jameson, who I've been complaining for a long time, like, are you a trio? Why aren't they getting a push? We see them do great work every week, but they're essentially 50-50 or their wins aren't leading to anything. We got something out of this, and they win via pinfall. They get that Iron Claw slam on Jacked Jameson, but this unfolded in a really funny way, and where we get a Sammy Guevara return coming into this picture, which is kind of silly. But let's start just talking about the match, SP3. We have champions around. That's neat. We have not seen those 6-man titles defended since they were merged. So nice that they're back here. I'm not like a fan of throwing it on Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs, but if they're going to defend them, that's a whole lot better than them holding it hostage and winning them because Texas. Like, do things with them, tell stories with them. We have a defense here. That's a pretty good start. What did you think of our match? The Von Erichs are fun. The Von Erichs do a good job here.
Yeah, like I was into it, and when we talked about the matchup that would happen on Battle of the Belts, we both were kind of on the same page of wanting Undisputed Kingdom to win the titles. But then watching it, Battle of the Belts, I was like, oh man, it's the Von Erichs in Texas. They're not going to lose. Yep. That was my first thought. I was like, the bell rang, and I was like, oh, damn, my prediction's not going to come true. The Von Erichs in Texas, they're not going to lose this with their dad in their corner, with Dustin Rhodes, another famous Texan, also in the place. And the way that crowd got behind them, it was a really fun matchup. The Undisputed Kingdom made good foils for them, and that was a good matchup there with Dustin and Von Erichs, the big triumphant babyface celebration at the end. So it was nice from there, that last kind of Ring of Honor matchup that we saw from last week outside of Death Before Dishonor, that they followed up here, and it made sense by the end of the show why this was the opener. So I will say, I also was like, oh, I thought this was going to be the main event when I saw the Iron Savages come out. I was like, well, that's weird. I thought that was the main event for this show, but then it made sense by the end of the night. But this match was just fine. I don't know what the Iron Savages did to earn this opportunity. I wish they would have set it up by saying it was like an open challenge or something like that. At least watch it away. Yeah, to at least wash it away and just say it was an open challenge for anyone. They want to be fighting champions. So it was good for them to get the win. I'm once again impressed by Marshall Von Erich. He just got that size. He's not the cleanest. He's still green, but he just got that size and that energy, doing standing moonsaults and stuff, doing the wildest looking drop kick where he doesn't kick them with both legs. He like hits them with one and then the other one almost hits you. It's crazy. I like him. I just like it. I dig it so much. And I like Ross as well. He's more polished. And Dustin, I thought Dustin would pretty much play the role of the hot tag guy, but I liked him playing the babyface in peril in this matchup. So that was a nice change of pace from what they did at Battle of the Belts. So overall, it was fine, but it led into a first time I think I've seen on a Ring of Honor. And I've watched all these Ring of Honor shows since it came back last year. I think it's the first time that they did or the first time since the Universal Studios era that they did a angle to end the show. They didn't do a match. Yeah. Like it was like mind blowing. When Cage and Rocky Romero ends, I'm like, okay, that's not the end of the show. Why is that? Why am I not seeing the graphic to end the show? I was like, what are we doing? And then Dustin comes out. I was like, oh, we're doing that tonight? Because I heard the spoiler and I was like, oh, we're doing. I thought we were gonna wait till next week to do that, but no, we're doing that tonight. Okay, all right, cool.
Let's talk about that closing angle. So Sean had said, I don't think he reported it, but he had said on stream that Sammy Guevara was going to come back in the most random way possible. He had reported that there were creative plans for Sammy Guevara, but he was like, LOL, this is random on stream. And I was like, maybe that means he's not Jericho's lapdog for like the first time in his career, but I could not have predicted this in a million years. You had Dustin Rhodes coming to the ring to cut a promo. He's kind of just giving a babyface promo, talking about feeding off the energy of the crowd here, talking about doing this alongside the Von Erichs in Texas, and this is one for the books. And he said he had been on one last ride for 5 years now, which I really liked that. And then Evil Uno comes out, frustrated, makes sense based on how things have been going. asking him if he hadn't had enough after 5 decades, and saying that he and the Von Erichs stole 6-man titles from them. And Evil Uno says that he doesn't care about their last name or their family or who the Von Erichs are, because he's been working his ass off week over week, and calls Dustin selfish and the most selfish man in professional wrestling. So you get John Silver and Alex Reynolds attacking Rhodes, and who comes in to make the save but Sammy Guevara, who lays out Evil Uno and takes out John Silver with a Cody cutter or an Os cutter, depending on what school of thought you come from. But you get Rhodes and Guevara standing tall after the broadcast, and this, whilst random, I feel like there's some good in and some bad. I would say if you have a trio, you shouldn't need a random dude to run in and make a save for you. You have 2 people that should be backing you up right there. So like the idea that you have an even numbers game and Sammy Guevara still has to come in and run someone off seems backwards to me, especially because Sammy Guevara, I'm not like, man, he's basically Lance Archer size. Like, that doesn't quite make sense to me. But, you know, Sammy's an interesting one, because I don't think there's anyone that says, I look at his in-ring and I don't think that guy has what it is. Like, it's always been character-based. It's been kind of promo-based. They really, he's been so in and out with Jericho. The 4 Pillars story, they couldn't really decide if he was a face or a heel. Like, that was all a mess. And then he came back. He did some really cool, crazy stuff in a couple of matches. Has the unfortunate suspension that seemed like it was over a miscommunication with Jeff Hardy. And I think him coming back to Ring of Honor, giving some breathing room, like maybe Jungle Boy got when he went to New Japan and joined the worst faction in the world in House of Torture. Like, I think maybe him finding a minute to reestablish himself and say, okay, I am a main roster talent, but I need to figure out who I'm going to be on the main roster. Let me sort that out here. I think could be something that's really good. And let's be real, couples travel together. If Tay Mello wanted to come back to this women's Ring of Honor division, yes, please. Her and Layla Hirsch, her and Rachel Ellering, her and Athena, her and Billy Starks. Like, I'm all for that. I still like my fantasy booking of she should be in Serena Deeb's dojo, but that's my own little hang up. But what did you think of this closing angle? The only reason it didn't catch me by surprise was because I saw the spoilers, but this felt completely out of left field. Kind of interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about this. And I agree with you. Sammy Guevara is a very exciting kind of in-ring performer. He's got the athleticism. He's got the high flying. His timing is always good with like the different type of moves that he does in the ring. It's always just been about kind of either his character or his kind of like mental outside of the ring. Is sure. Like his maturity, because you know he's had instances like I date back like all the Sammy Guevara, like the first instance that I really heard it's Sammy in AEW not really wanting to go with what the AEW plan was the whole Jericho MJF Inner Circle storyline where he walks out and he's supposed to go to TNA because they're working with TNA at the time, and he's going to work in the X division, and he basically rejected it and said that was the report. The rumor was that he rejected it. He didn't want to go to TNA at the time. And that was like the first instance of anything involving Sammy outside of the ring. And it just felt like he was always going to be kind of the Jericho sidekick. And this guy so much agrees with Kate so much that the learning tree stuff does not work, that he's willing to go to Ring of Honor to stay away from it. Bravo, sir. Bravo. Yeah. I gotta give it to you. He said, I do not want to become AEW's Big Show and have to turn heel again on a return, because he literally just did that in December of this year. He had to come back randomly and turn babyface after he just turned heel at Grand Slam last year on Jericho after he lost to him, which is still a mind-boggling decision. Why did he lose to Jericho at Grand Slam? He should have beat Jericho at Grand Slam and then turned heel. He should have. It was all the decisions with Sammy, like post the 4 Pillars storyline. It needs to be its own documentary because it's been so up and down, all over the place.
Sammy Guevara, you were in the Don Callis family for 10 minutes. What was that like? Like, honest to God.
He was in it for like 10 minutes, and then he immediately left. They had a baby, and then he turned on the Don Callis family kind of turned on him, and then he turned on the Don Callis family. It was so weird. Everything about that was just so real. It feels like a fever pitch, but a fever dream. But I like this. I do like this. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I do like this decision because it felt like Sammy coming in is like a big kind of watermark moment of this new era of honor that I was saying in my head and hyping it up on social media, that this was kind of the beginning of a new era. Having someone who has that stature, who is a former 3-time TNT champion, who has that credibility of being a AEW main roster star, coming over and making the choice to come to Ring of Honor. It is a big deal. It is a big deal, and he can be a player, whether it be in the TV title division, whether it be in the world title division. I like the way they kind of explained it, where they explained it that Dustin said, oh yeah, I had the Von Erichs go home, so I have no backup here. So it set up him heading the 3-on-1 assault. It was kind of like Dustin Rhodes was like the dad, and he sent his kids home with the mother. He was like, hey, honey, can you take them? It's past their bedtime. I'm going to have a couple of drinks with the boys, but I got something to say out to the crowd. But that's how it worked, and he needed some backup, and someone in the bar was just there. He just returned from the army, and he wanted to help him out when he got jumped in the bar. That's great stuff. I mean, that's it. I made that whole angle up in my head, and it makes sense to me. I love it. But I'm in. I like Sammy here. I think that it is going to benefit him, and it's going to definitely benefit Ring of Honor.
I agree. I feel like him versus Landis Jr. is calling the day. Like, also Sammy Guevara TV champ just feels right. Like, I don't know if it's because he had a mid-card title on the main roster and it just feels like it makes sense here, but he just feels like the perfect guy for that type of bout. Like, it does just seem to make sense to me. So good stuff and exciting development there, and exciting to get some chats from you guys, like Shea Monster saying TMD Kate, SB3s to the dome. Sports reference, Kate. I know sports. Anthony Henry had a night. Character building. Tekker fight with Yuta. More character building. Beef. Yeah, I'm
a beef guy.
You're a beef fan. You're team beef. I'll take it. But we're going to go along to this guy who keeps impersonating you, SP3, at this point. ROH World Champion Mark Briscoe cutting a promo alongside his baby boy, Jay Briscoe, not the one that Kyle O'Reilly was told to babysit, not his belt there, his actual baby boy. But he puts over Roddy Strong really well in this and says that at ROH Death Before Dishonor, he still had it claimed and he would continue to celebrate his win. So another good symptom of things as you got Pikachu Briscoe over there. Is that what I
was like, baby, I got the win in Ring of Honor, and I want to shout out my big man, my conglomeration, Kyle O'Reilly, Big Tom, and man, OC. We miss you, baby. Even though we team with you the next day, but we miss you, baby. I'm bleeding out here. I don't know. I got a little bit of salt in my beard, and I got little baby Pikachu Briscoe here, and it's gonna be a good time.
I will be your Kyle O'Reilly anytime you want. But again, world champion having a presence on the show. Who would have thought? Encouraging signs here, guys. Many more of you watching than were at the beginning of the show, and we appreciate that support. So a quick reminder to get in those super chats, not humper chats tonight, if you would like to comment on anything to do with Death Before Dishonor, Ring of Honor in general, or the show tonight. Please leave a thumbs up. It's important on all of our shows, but no show more than this because it helps people find us in the algorithm, and we're the little post show that could. So please do. And also head over to FightfulSelect.com. So much news happening. The Warner Brothers exclusivity window is up. We've got SummerSlam around the corner. Tons of news going in and out of SummerSlam. I think it's safe to assume some marquee talent will be returning. That's not a report, but deductive reasoning will tell you. So stay tuned to Fightful Select. Also on the free tier, unfortunately, the news about Layla Hirsch broke earlier today. Kind of a bummer one, but we always do put injury news on the free tier as well as anything to do with sexual misconduct, which is way too frequent of a thing that happens over there, or any sort of sensitive news like that. And some stuff about like European wrestling and the indies. A lot of GCW news breaks over there, a lot of progress news and stuff like that. So stay tuned to that free tier if you can't support with the $5 a month. But I will say, it is the best $5 in the business. I mean, that's all.
I agree.
Shane Monster, you're not condescending. That was fine. I was just playing with you. But I do know sports. I'm not up on all of SP3's basketball metaphors because he comes in with a lot of them, but I do my best. I do my best out here. But let's keep it going. We have a flight attendant in the house, a top flight attendant in the house with Ms. Layla Gray being repackaged with Top Flight here, Dante and Darius Martin. Interesting that Action Andretti is not a part of this. Are we seeing delineation? Or will I be mad about it next week? Tune in to find out. But in this case, we have a tag team against two of my favorites, LSG, Leon St. Giovanni, who was a part of the Ring of Honor crew that shut down right before Tony Khan bought it. Nice to see him getting an appearance here. And GKM, who's a part of Ace of Space Academy, an outstanding talent here in the Northeast. I love watching his matches. So much charisma, but this, of course, was all Top Flight's night. The flatliner from Darius on GKM in this. This was exactly what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to serve as an establishing rep for Top Flight. I'm hoping that means they know what division they're working in and what they're going after. This tag division could be great. It could, because I know sports so much, SP3, it could hoop if they wanted to. If they put the gas behind it, it could hoop. But we'll have to see if they actually follow through with clarity and around tag and trios. I actually like Iron Savages working as a trio like we saw tonight with Jack Jameson, because I think Jack Jameson adds a lot.
Yeah.
And I like Top Flight being a tag team. No offense to Action Andretti. I just feel like we were waiting for both of these guys to be healthy for so long that now they are, and I want to see them be a brother tag team so bad. Very happy to see just literally my friend and a fantastic wrestler in LSG getting a little love here as well. But yeah, we get kind of an establishing rep here from Top Flight. What were your thoughts on this?
This was a pretty good showcase for Top Flight here. I like the addition of the Top Flight attendant, Layla Gray.
Too. She
and I think
great.
She looked awesome. I was just like, I'm with this. I am with this 100%. I did not know that a Top Flight attendant was needed for Darius and Dante Martin. I think both guys are so talented and they could be one of the best tag teams in Ring of Honor or in AEW. But it just fit. It just fit and it made sense to give them some type of character that goes along nicely with their already established name and not make them just another brother tag team that does high flying moves. Because that was their gimmick before. That was literally their gimmick. Brother tag team that does high flying moves. Top Flight, get it? Get it? Now they have a Top Flight attendant. This just works. This just works. I love the whole graphic that they had for them at the beginning. All of this works. I do agree with you. In Ring of Honor specifically, especially because they have this winning streak that they keep talking about. They talked about it on the 0 hour for Death Before Dishonor. They talked about it here. They're undefeated in Ring of Honor tag team action in 2024. They need to be specifically a tag team in Ring of Honor. They could use Action Andretti if they're still going to appear on AEW and you want them in the trios division over there. But in Ring of Honor, tag team is the way, and they feel kind of destined to be the next Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions.
I agree with you. I am excited to see where things go. And literally, as soon as I saw her come out with them, I was like, they look incredible. They can walk the walk. We had this tease with the infantry already. Comes out with Trish Adora. And we get an immediate follow-up with that. And I was like, okay, me and SP3, we're doing more manifesting. We manifested that Texas death match. More white girl manifesting over here. We love that for us. But Carly Bravo, Sean Dean, and Trish Adora are cutting a promo backstage where they said Top Flight was all over AEW and ROH television. And they wanted their dues. And Bravo gets interrupted by Miss Layla Gray, who's joining Top Flight. And to that, I say, they should be getting their freaking dues. They're great.
Bravo might be one of the funniest people on this show. He was hilarious. He's like, they got Layla Gray. I've been trying to get Layla Gray for years. That was
very true.
I was like, your Bravo
So
has so much charisma. He is awesome, and I like the fact we got infantry in 2 separate backstage segments. This one responding to Top Flight getting the victory and keeping that kind of wheel spinning as far as them in Top Flight, even though they did establish, hey, they're the homies, so we cool with them, but we ain't liking the way that they are getting all the attention right now. And then they immediately didn't stop there. They was like, nope, we gotta skip the line. We're going right to the tag team champions. We got a 4-match winning streak. We don't care. These guys are undefeated in 2024. We're going right to the titles.
We are on our way to the titles indeed. We kind of are getting a 2 guys and a girl division. We said this about SmackDown, Alex Pulowski and I, because you just looked around and you were like, all of a sudden there's so many 2 guys and a girls division. You have Top Flight with Layla Gray. You have the infantry, obviously, and the Outrunners seem to be playing with the idea of having a consistent female manager on board. We saw Erica Lee this week. I forget what her name was when they were in Florida for tapings, but she was incredible because she looked like she walked out of an 80s aerobics video. I wish I could remember what her name was, but she was unbelievable with it. Really, really fun stuff. And again, it just felt like a storyline in progress. Like we had angles in tonight's episode, which while that feels very bare minimum, we were getting a lot of very bare minimum stuff. Taylor Cannon, who just genuinely one of the most supportive, kindest people that comes into our chat, just wanted to say hello to Kate and SP3. Well, hello back to you. And I know I made a Logan Paul joke at the beginning of the episode, but Taylor's like the best of us. And it reminded me to tell you guys that wrestling is for everyone and Fightful is for everyone. And we don't deal with any bullshit around here. So, no bullies.
Sami Zayn greater than.
Damn right.
Sami Zayn.
Damn right. Forever. So good stuff. But guys, yes, the chat is finding out that Layla Hirsch was injured. I know it sucks. It was either a dislocated shoulder or elbow. I'm still trying to get clarity on that, but that was announced actually right before this next match between Robin Renegade and Maya World. Excited to see that she was getting continued reps. I don't know if that was just because she was on the circuit that was available while she was on Collision and stuff. Like if it just was a symptom of her being around. But Robin Renegade gets the win with that pump handle flatliner that looked really good here. I like that as a finisher. But Maya World is great. Like it's so funny because for literally years I was just like, where's the investment in the women's division? Like, where is it? Because we keep bringing in people and throwing them off TV, right? Taya Valkyrie was that way. Saraya, I know she had health complications and stuff, but, like, she didn't take to it. Toni Storm got pushed, but I was like, why aren't we signing more women who are... there was a good crew that was developing still, but I was like, why aren't we signing all this top-level talent? Where's Willow Nightingale? And they signed her and all these things. And now I'm like, it is getting crowded over here. And it feels like it happened so fast. But I feel like if there's anything wrestling has showed us over the past year, it's almost like you need a bloated roster because people get injured like crazy. And there's just genuinely a lot of shows. You've got Dynamite, you've got Rampage, you've got Ring of Honor, and you've got Collision. There's a lot of hours of wrestling and a lot of matches going on. So I think it's good to have some people that you can just rely on around. And Maya World, I think, has a very high ceiling. We've seen some really good stuff for her. Really engaging energy about her. Like just from the second that she steps into the ring, you're kind of you get curious about this woman. You're like, what is she all about, Maya World? Tell me about Maya World. I say a mixed tag team with Jeff Jarrett because Maya World, Bree-woo. I think that's where we have to go with this. I don't think we have a choice.
The perfect setup.
It really is. I'm not even one of you Jeff Jarrett perverts out there, but it is sitting right there for us. What did you think of this match? And what are your thoughts on Maya World? Do you think she's just here for an abbreviated run while they're in the Texas area? Or are you thinking maybe they've got eyes for her longer term?
I'm hoping they do. I said on Twitter for this matchup, it was like two people doing their tryouts. You had Robin Renegade trying out for Monet Corporation, which should really be Monet Inc. I'm sorry, copyrights be damned. It should have been Monet Inc. CEO. I want to see her do the dance with Mercedes along with Charlotte Renegade. We need a whole stable with Mercedes, Camille, and the Renegades. And then you got Maya World, who needs to skip the line of Billy Starks and become a minion in MIT. I think that's the next chapter of the MIT that will eventually lead to Billy finally being like, all right, that's enough. Lexi already is ahead of me. Now you're bringing in your trainee to get in the minion in MIT, and she's skipping over me as well. And she could treat her like the teacher's pet that she is. I think that is what needs to happen. We need Maya World in MIT. This is a good tryout for her, despite taking the loss. And yeah, I like that she has like charisma, she has good presence, and she just needs to be developed. And being here on Ring of Honor and working under her already trainer in Athena, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts because I feel like we saw this incredible crop of women's independent wrestling talent rise. And then a lot of them got signed. And now I think you're starting to see like Maggie Lee and Maya World in this next group coming up. It is so cool how we're getting this like get signed and replenish, get signed and replenish. Like I love to see that. I still don't know how Becca is walking around unsigned. I cannot believe NXT has not come calling for her. I say that as often as I can because she's like so patented for they would hey, do you want someone you have to do zero work with? How about this woman is like still mind-boggling to me, but we move along to this backstage with Melissa Santos. Now, notably, she was signed more recently. It feels like she might be exclusive to the Ring of Honor brand, and I kind of dig that. I think it's good that they have a patented person for backstage interviews for ROH because I could see them. I mean, Lexi Nair is in Minion School, right? But
yes,
like if they wanted to make her the Collision gal and Renee the Dynamite gal and Melissa the ROH gal, I think that would be good. And not saying that they can't cross over into each other's worlds, but if you're like anchor, that's cool. Like that's cool by me. So I'm into that. But she's backstage with Anthony Henry, who's interrupted by who's just there to wish him luck, which I think is really nice.
We're going to do it, and we're going to do it hard. I love it.
You love beef. I'm vegan, and I love beef. I can't even pretend. Man.
I'm black, and I like white trash beef. That's his name. That's his name on Twitter. He liked my tweet, and I followed him immediately and said white trash beef. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Some good shit there.
He's like, cousin? He was like, no, we're actually second cousins. Hey, cousin.
Look, I know you just figured out that the Iron Savages are a trio, but like beef, Savage sauce, duh. Like, how do you consume your beef? I feel like with Savage sauce, right?
This is the ultimate rivalry. They're just waiting for JD Drake to come back, but the workhorsemen with beef horsemen. I mean, that just writes itself. The trios division in Ring of Honor is back, baby.
Save your meat matches for like whatever. We're talking literal meat here, okay? This is not like cutesy whatever. We're talking an actual meat division here where people are named beef. They're not just like, oh, he's a beefy guy. No. We are committed to the bit in Ring of Honor. Thank you very much. That's how we live life here. I love it.
I'm always going to be a fan of a fat man who shows off his belly because he has a tattoo on his belly that says beef.
That's it.
I'm always going to be a fan of it.
What more could you possibly want in this world?
I'm a simple man. Yeah. And why are you wet? You saw me out there.
Because he was bathed in Savage sauce and needed to shower. That's just what I think. That's what I think. Anthony Henry also getting to show a little bit of personality too, which was nice. Like he felt very comfortable, obviously, and this was just cute and fun, and I loved it. This was a blast.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Anthony Henry, he worked great as the straight man to beef.
He did. He did good work here. This was a bunch of fun, but I mean, it's kind of nice that we didn't have an obvious match of the night because I think either one of these, depending on your preference and style, could be considered that. But this was a bunch of fun, and it's what the chat has wanted to talk about most. So getting those super chats and no humper chats, just super chats tonight. People just want to talk about Mortos and AR Fox. Man, Mortos, like, if you are actually trying to rebuild a promotion, he's the guy that you can do this for. Sammy versus ROH champ Mortos, that final battle is Shot Kid's vision. This guy is just special. Like, we saw what he could do basing for luchadors. AR Fox is not a luchador, but he has lucha proclivities, I would say. But he also has a very different and diverse style in general. And he wins with the Destination Hellhole. I did not know that was his finisher until today. I just never clocked it, I don't think. That is the
I didn't even know that's the name of it.
Finisher.
Yes.
Holy shit, that's cool. The Destination Hellhole? Are you kidding me? There's never been a cooler finisher name in the world.
I've been calling it the Beast Driver because I'm lazy, but Destination Hellhole is so much better.
Let's be real, Beast Driver isn't bad, but Destination Hellhole. For a driver, he's like, I'm gonna drive you to hell, like into the ground. It's the coolest name. This match was fantastic. SP3, I'll let you call it whatever spots you want to call out or just talk about this, but I loved kind of the story that we got out of this too, which is something I've noticed with Beast Mortos is you don't have to give him a bunch of story for him to go create a story. I think AR Fox is also very good at that. But like, because he's not like a huge dude, he's not beef certainly, but he's a little brick house and he can control pacing just with his movements. And he has, as the kids say, aura up the yin yang. Like this guy, I heard MXM say on a stream, like, aura isn't supposed to be like you holding a belt in front of a bunch of fireworks. And I agree. Like, aura is not, you have a championship and pyro's going off around you. Like, aura is bigger than that. And they were kind of naming guys like Jon Moxley's a guy that has aura, right? I would say Trish Adora is certainly someone that falls into that category. She's one of the first people I think of when I think about that. And Beast Mortos has aura. Like, he's definitely one of those guys when he steps on screen, you're just like, bam. This match was super fun and as fun as its finisher name. Like, Chucky29 saying it's so unnecessarily extra, and I love it. It is not extra. It is directly proportionate, baby. Let's go.
Perfect in my eyes. Yeah, this match was so much fun. And like it just made me, I had thoughts going through my head as I'm watching all this high flying stuff from AR Fox. And I'm like, I want to visit the multiverse where AR Fox could travel to London last year and didn't get excommunicated from Mogul Embassy and where his career would be at. But I love the fact that we have him here and we can see a fun matchup with Beast Mortos. My favorite spot is when AR Fox sat him in the chair and did the run around the ring, and Mortos catches him with a headbutt, and then he sits him down in the chair and tries to run around the ring, but AR Fox runs through and it's Tope Suicida into like the barricade. I was laughing so much. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And Beast Mortos has been on a hell of a run right now. Like the matchup that we talked about with Commander at Death Before Dishonor was just a awesome Lucha Libre showcase. And then one night later, he goes out there and outdoes himself with Hologram in one of the best collision matches of the year, like a top 5 collision match for me this year with that matchup that they had on Saturday. And
Crowd
then he
was
gets
hot
the
for
win.
that too, man. Crowd was really hot for Hologram in that too.
They love that matchup. And then he beats Mark Briscoe on Dynamite this week with the Destination Hellhole, pinning the Ring of Honor World Champion. And then he comes out here and has arguably the match of the night with AR Fox and, you know, another high-flying guy that can move around. But Beast Mortos in that six-man, it made me realize who he is. He is Tomohiro Ishii if he was a Mexican bull. Like it's like they are the same compact style, but like he has more power, he has more like kind of like that intensity to him, and he just has these different types of matches depending on what type of high flyer or what type of performer he's in there with, where he's done it with Darby Allin, he's done it with Ray Phoenix this year, he did it with Hologram, and then he did it here with AR Fox. And I like the fact we're seeing Mortos get more and more victories. And I wouldn't be surprised if I think that matchup might happen on a Ring of Honor episode, God willing, fingers crossed, that we get Beast Mortos versus Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Just keep letting them stack up victories, and we can get a big world title match on this show. And I would love to talk about that because Mark Briscoe is one of my favorites. Beast Mortos is probably my favorite luchador right now, and he's just killing it right now ever since he signed full-time with ROH and AEW.
It's so funny. Alex Pulaski on our Collision review on Select made the same reference that you did to Ishii, talking about the similarities of their styles. I have heard multiple people, I am one of them, calling for a tag team with Roosh. I would much prefer them to team Yo Listen at this point. So I'm kind of just over anything to do with the Acclaimed. But man, and now for something completely different, because I don't know if you guys know this, but MXM is going to come all over you. So Shotkin29 saying, I'd like to file a formal request. Right? They're always going to come on top. So Shotkin29 saying, I'd like to file a formal request to rename Ring of Honor Ring of Hotties. More of tonight, please. I am so excited that they have been so well received on all three shows that they have showed up to. Touching tips. There we go. Touching tips over here. If Tony Khan can do it, we can do it, right? I think that works.
It works.
But man, big showing for them on Collision. I saw a lot of people being like, oh, okay, MXM can go. They got a good reception for the Rampage taping, I was told, when they came out with Tony Khan. I'm just over the moon that people are seeing what they can do and latching onto it. And I said on our Death Before Dishonor post show, there's just something a little different where it feels like we are laughing at the things that they are doing to pop us rather than laughing at them, which is how the presentation resonated with me in WWE. I think part of it was just like LA Knight didn't want to be doing it and that they didn't really know where it was going and things like that. So, but like there are so many things that they are doing in ring that are absolutely hysterical. And then you get promos like tonight where we had Source just feeling himself, and Mason is talking about how they're going to come all over you here at Ring of Honor. Like, what more do you want from these maximum male collection models, whatever you want to call them, MXM collection here? I see this and I have to call it out. I wonder if Shane and TK touched tips in their meeting. I don't know. I can certainly make an inquiry, but he definitely tweeted, they used to touch tips with me when he saw them on TV. So, and there's a transference there. At the very least, they're like Eskimo brothers or whatever it's called, right? Yeah, so there you go. But just another very silly vignette. And it feels like they're being presented as a big deal in the ROH division. I don't mind people in ROH getting reps in AEW as well. I mind them being champions in ROH and only being in AEW. That's where my complaint is. So when I say things like split the roster, I need that aspect of it. But wrestle where you're getting paid to, man. But this is just more silly and good fun from MXM. Your thoughts on this?
My favorite line was Mantor saying, "That's not the first time a big burly man slapped my breast."
Oh my it won't be the last.
And it won't be the last. Oh my God. Their delivery is so good. I love it. I love MXM right now.
They have impeccable timing both in these promos, like comedically, but they also have it in the ring. Like that spot on Saturday where Mansoor jumped into Mason's arms. Like right as the leg sweep was coming in from Cash. Like, that was all perfectly timed, and they held the pose for the exact amount of time. And Mansoor had like a more comedic face on, and Mason was just like looking straight ahead, dead serious. Like, they are so in control of all this, and it's going to be really refreshing to have an act like that around, I think.
100% agree.
Shotkin29 saying MXM is really going to straddle that line with the TV 14 rating when they're on TV, and it's going to be great. I see nothing wrong with that statement. The chat calling for a Tony Storm and MXM interaction. I'm with it, man. It's very fun having these silly little guys running around. It adds so much flavor to things. But me and Norma saying, sorry I'm late. We'll forgive you, I guess. Lots of meat business tonight. Now let's crank. Was any ground proven, or was there any quality restaurant meat slapping? I can't believe you missed our whole discussion about beef, Meat Norbus. It's so up your alley, Meat Norbus. But we had you're going to want to go 15 minutes or so back in this episode. We talked a lot about meat because we had a guy who's just he's white trash beef on the show. So definitely go check that out. But I love this from Ring of Honor. You were saying at the beginning of the episode, we get this like buffet of wrestling. I would say going from Beast Mortos and AR Fox to MXM Collection, saying they're going to come all over everybody, to Wheeler Yuta and Anthony Henry is a fantastic example of that. And this match was great. We do get this promo from Lee Moriarty after this saying that they're basically rebuilding the Pure Division, which is good because I have bashed my head into Wildfire too many times for them not doing that. But like with a lot of fire and a lot of passion, and it seems like he's taking a lot of pride in that belt. We had said on the Death Before Dishonor post show, Anthony Henry would be great in the Pure Division while JD Drake is out. This match showcased that really well. Wheeler Yuta in his bag when he's like wrestling pure style stuff. He gets the seatbelt cradle win. I don't need to see a rematch out of this, but I do love that he is still kind of chasing that same vibe, right? Like, he should want it back. I don't think he should be the one to get it back. Their first two matches were incredible. I wouldn't be mad about a third one. It's just we saw Wheeler and Danny Garcia do that like 74 times, so I don't need to see that again. Yeah. But, like, there's also no Pure Division, so him being an establishing force in it is something that's really good here. I loved this match. I'm a Tekker sicko. You know that. You are too, in part. So I really liked this, and I love that seatbelt cradle for the win. That's a nice thing for someone of Wheeler's stature to use on a guy like Anthony Henry, who is so damn strong. But your thoughts?
My favorite part, probably my favorite part of like the wrestling on this show was the sequence where they had the wrist control and you have Anthony Henry on his back doing like bicycle kicks to the chest of Wheeler Yuta. And then Wheeler responds with the Bryan Danielson's kick his fucking head in. It was just going back and forth until Wheeler just completely knocks out Henry and then eventually gets the seatbelt pin for the win. It was just really good stuff. I liked earlier in the matchup, him going to ringside while Beef was having some popcorn, and he took some of the popcorn. He was like, "Oh, that was a bad idea." I was like, "Yeah, you're eating popcorn as you're wrestling. That's not a good idea. You're gonna choke to death."
You're literally Beef. What are you doing eating popcorn? Honestly.
And then they did the chop exchange and Wheeler's chest. Oh my God! By the end of the matchup, he looked nasty.
It was ground beef by the end of it.
Yes, it was ground beef. That's why Beef got all sweaty. He got all sweaty and excited.
That's it.
Ooh, I'm having fun. I'm cheering for my second cousin. But it was just good stuff. Good stuff between these two guys. I probably would lean more towards Beast Mortos and AR Fox for match of the night, but if you said Wheeler Yuta and Anthony Henry was your match of the night, I'm not going to argue with you because both matches were really good. And I don't remember with these two matches and Cage and Rocky in the main event, when was the last time we had three really good matches on a Ring of Honor episode? It's been quite some time.
It has, and all of them, part of having a great match is like feeling like there's a purpose and something you're fighting for. So we got that there. But I do just want to call this out because this shit just makes me so happy. Frantic World saying MXM promo with Mercedes and Camille would be great. MXM interaction with Moxley, MXM versus Claudio and Yuta, MXM with Dalton Wen, MXMX Mox. Like, I love that people, this is what's fun when you have a team that has big personalities, but it's not to overcompensate for the fact that they can't work. Because they could do, here's the one. MXM bitches with Okada all day. I just love that. I love that we have a lot of big personalities around, but nobody that's quite like in this vein of what MXM are doing. So it makes me feel very happy that they are being presented as someone that everybody wants to latch onto rather than somebody that people are pointing and laughing at. But guys, get in those super chats. We are coming down the home stretch here. You're going to have your TNA post show at the back end of this. We had Mustafa Ali and Nick Nemeth. There was a wrestling wedding. So much to talk about on the TNA side of things. Joel Pearl and Cresta will have you covered. I'm going to leave a little hint for you guys about something. We've got a pretty fun little sponsor situation that's going to be running tomorrow through next Wednesday. So you're going to want to tune into all of our post shows as usual, but you're also going to want to follow us on social media. There's going to be some cool things that we have going on, and you're going to want to see what this sponsor has to offer in particular. So be sure to be following us on social media, and you'll get to see images of what I'm talking about on our post shows as well. But we always appreciate the social support, and these are pictures you're gonna wanna click and see. There's some fun stuff. So it's not Wingstop. You're very funny in the chat. Man, that's like the only time. No, Stokely was, when he was Malcolm Bivens, was all about Zaxby's, right? I get my wings spots mixed up. I was gonna say, now he should be vying for that. He should be trying to get a Zaxby's sponsorship to counter program. Look, if WWE is gonna run a 3-hour post show to counteract Collision, I think Stokely Hathaway at minimum should be countering the wing spot one with with Zaxby's.
Zaxby's.
Well, we move along here. The premier athletes, Ariya Daivari and Tony Nese, with Mark Sterling, defeat the Superstarz, Nikki 8 and Tommy Mars. And I gotta say, unfortunately for Nikki 8, he had not 8 by the end of this match. They lost.
ATE.
No, they took a frog splash from Ariya Daivari on Mars here, and they lost. Maybe Nikki 1 through 7 would have had a better shot, but the premier athletes functioning as a tag team here getting a win. I am fine with that, but Josh Woods needs to then be getting singles wins and not being the guy who loses on Collision in this trio. Like, that was very, very silly of them. He's a superstar. But this is perfectly fine. It just makes me curious. Like, do we now have a loaded tag division after having one that we didn't know if it existed? Like, where are we going with all of this? I'm actually excited to find out. But perfectly serviceable match here. Not much to write home about, with the Superstarz doing their job as well as they could.
Yeah, it was pretty much a squash. I like the premier athletes picking up a win here. I just want to see them kind of go fully to Ring of Honor. If they're going to get wins in Ring of Honor and not just be the perennial job guys on Collision, I think that's the way to go.
It's true. It's true. And I'll tell you what else. If you don't know what way to go, there's only one man who can inspire you and motivate you in this world, and that is Beef, because we get another little vignette here.
2-segment Beef!
Double Beef segment, okay? Anthony Henry is backstage cutting a promo, and Beef is just hyping him up after his loss. This was all just very funny. It seems like we're screaming for something to happen with Iron Savages between the names and the personality. Like, it has to happen, like, properly, I feel like. I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. It was just very fun.
This is where he had his great catchphrase. We're going to do it. We're going to do it hard. It's Beef, baby. I love him.
See? And now I'm
shirt.
Like,
send me a Beef shirt.
Send him a Beef shirt. Now that feels like they're calling out MXM too. Like, I feel like this tag division is really it's starting to heat up here. So it's all because of beef.
Because of beef. This episode is getting a thumbs up for me because we had beef.
Because beef. Well, we go from a thumbs up to a tornado DDT, Fuego del Sol, against Jacoby Watts, who finally gets in the ring after making Nick Comoroto do so much work for him in previous outings. Interesting wrinkle. I don't know if they've just dropped the storyline because we hadn't seen it for like probably 3 or 4 weeks. No idea. No idea if somebody was banged up. No idea if they just felt it wasn't clicking, whatever. But Jacoby Watts back today and in ring. Fuego picking up the win. Would love to see Fuego back in the fold on a more regular basis. Not sure if it's just for these Texas tapings as well, but he is fantastic. I think this might be Fuego 3. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but fun stuff. Always good to see Fuego in action. Shaka29 saying, I think you mean Fuego del Sol. He does look like he heard us talking about beef so much. He was like, I gotta go get jacked, man. We gotta
and good shout out by A-Shock. We can get the Sammy and Fuego tag team that they always tease but never delivered in AEW.
There you go. Let's go, Ring of Honor.
The Vlog Squad is back. Get Marco on Ring of Honor too. Why not?
That's right. That's right. We saw him making a triumphant return. We love that.
Exactly.
Me, Norma's chiming in saying, here's a small sack of money for 2 beef segments. That's what's up. We love that here, but
beef equals money. Beef
it's true.
equals money. Beef money.
Beef is the money.
Beef.
Money. Good shit here. Good shit. We get your ROH World Women's Forever Champion. She could win with no legs. She could win with no arms. She could win with no torso. She can win however you need to. Athena is confused with Billy Starks. Confused Billy Starks with Lexi Nair before she thanked Lexi Nair for assisting in the match against Queen Nominata, which a very fun way to progress what's going on with the dissension in Minion University over here. So this is perfectly fun. This is a good way to just have her on the show if she's not going to have a match. Listen, the news about Beth Phoenix broke. I said it on the Death Before Dishonor post show. Give me Athena versus Beth. I tweeted it. She retweeted it and said, yes, please. Beth Phoenix, ROH match. And this came up yesterday, too, on my Mark Order podcast. They have not had a veteran women's presence, really, of like, in like a legend sense that was active. Like, they never had a women's version of Sting around to do stuff. Like, I would love to see Beth Phoenix and that kind of run, but as far as this segment goes, this was adorable. I love this like half serious, half silly stuff with Athena mixing up Billy and Lexi Nair. This is all a great way to quickly advance what is going on here. Any thoughts from you?
Yeah, it was a quick, efficient way to kind of set up the next chapter of the Minion Saga. That's what I'm calling it. The Minion Saga.
I love that.
Absolutely.
The Iliad, the Odyssey, and the Minions? All day, please.
You got me
All
there.
day.
You got me there.
Well, this was one of the more superfluous things on the show, but I never complain when Rocky Romero is in action. I was glad that he got a rep here because we haven't seen him in a while since the Best Friends fell apart. I'm sure Trent being for realsies injured has a lot to do with that, but Brian Cage getting the W with the drill claw here. This is another one that we were like, what is Cage of Agony doing? Who are they? It felt like this episode had a ton of clarity behind it. I don't know if this means Brian Cage is going to be a single star in ROH or not. But what we do know is this men's singles division has had Lee Johnson and nobody else for like 3 months. So it had Kyle Fletcher as a champion. It had Mark Briscoe as an absent champion. Not a lot of other people around. So I would be all for that. Any thoughts on this final match?
I thought this was another good matchup on the show. It probably would have been my match of the night if not for the little botch towards the end when Cage really didn't look sure on what he wanted to do. I've seen him do the move before where he steps up onto the rope and does like the tour of the islands off the second rope, but it was just like he wasn't sure at first, and then he tried to do it, and then Rocky fell, and then he had to bring him back and nearly just dropped Rocky on his head. So that was kind of you're already going to drop him on his head for your finish, so you don't need to do it twice. But he still picks up the win here, and I like the fact Cage picks up the win because he can easily get a shot at Atlantis Jr. for the TV title, easily be in position to get a shot at Mark Briscoe for the world title. You got Brian Cage now, you got Sammy Guevara now in the mix, you got Beast Mortos picking up some wins, we still got Lee Johnson. It seems like the men's division is stacking up. It seems like Kyle Fletcher is becoming Machine Gun Kelly and getting a role on AEW, so he can move on from Ring of Honor for now, and now we got the pieces to kind of build out the TV and world title division over here. So thumbs up for that.
I agree. And Rocky is so great at doing whatever he needs to do, but that spot with Brian Cage was scary. When you said it fell short, it reminded me of when when people fall short on a coast to coast. Alex Pulaski calls it a coast to Idaho. And it's my favorite thing ever. He's like, well, I didn't quite go coast to coast. More of a coast to Idaho. It is. This wasn't like a tour of the island so much as it was like just a tour of like one Hawaiian island or something. I don't know. Like it just was like Maui or whatever. It didn't quite make it around where we needed to go, but some good stuff there. And then we end the show on the big angle that we talked about earlier, but we do also get the Undisputed Kingdom saying that they deliver every time and that their lights shine the brightest on them, but they are interrupted by the Infantry, who demand a tag title rematch. Bennett and Taven accept, but tell them it's going to be the same results as last time. But everything that we were complaining about SP3 seems to be getting addressed. And when I say everything we've been complaining about, I mean specifically you and I. We're going to bring Cresta and Joel on here in a minute, but like I've been shouting like, what are we fighting for the Iron Savages? What are the Infantry fighting for? It took like this much work, and so many of my complaints are addressed. So it's really refreshing to see, and I think it means that you and I are very powerful. Any closing thoughts from you?
I want y'all to keep supporting us so we can keep manifesting the things that we need from Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor can become whole, and I can save this list that I had since last week until like a month from now when they give us a 1 hour episode again.
Yeah, we also started late. I had your list on my mind, but I was like, we actually have a lot to talk about tonight.
Exactly.
And I got started 5 minutes late on our end. So we will get back to the SP3 list, which will undoubtedly have Bryan Danielson at the top of them just to piss off Nigel McGuinness. But we're going to bring on Joel and Cresta to talk to you all about TNA. There was a wrestling wedding. There was Nick Nemeth and Mustafa Ali. There was so much happening. Joel is crying because he was so moved by this wrestling wedding.
I was there live for it, and it's so much better the second time.
I'm sure.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Just beautiful. Hi, Cresta. How you doing?
Hi, my voice is a little hoarse. I'm so sorry, y'all.
Whoa.
My voice took a walk, so this is what we're getting. I'm here. It sounds worse than it is. I'm so excited, I assure you.
Because you were a performer extraordinaire. I liked your dance where you went down and did the little walk
duck
thing.
walk.
Yes, it was great. It was great.
My knees are disintegrating in 4K. That's what you're watching.
Well, we got you on here late, so we're going to get out of here immediately. We're going to let Cresta get to her vocal rest as soon as she needs to. But stay tuned for the TNA post show. They have a lot to talk about. We had so much fun with tonight's episode. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Beef. Hey, SP3. Oh, he's
SP3
gone.
said,
Wait,
I'm out of here.
Kate, happy August 1st warning to you.
Happy August 1st warning to you as well.
Say hi to Tito for me.
I absolutely will. Love
Have a
Tito
good night.
so much. Bye.
All right. I missed SP3 because he would absolutely have gotten that too. Hi, Cresta. I'm sorry that
Hi.
your voice isn't feeling great.
No, it's all good. And it's only going to get worse because tomorrow I'm going to an indie show in the Bronx. So, here we are.
My God. I mean, you can still have fun and not make noise at wrestling shows.
Impossible. I'm a level 99 yapper. But I mean, there's no Collision show on Saturday. So, guys, mentally prepare yourself because Collision comes on at 5. So I can spend till next Thursday recovering.
And you will. But I mean, that's up to you.
I mean, well, something's going to happen. I mean, I have to shut up or lose my voice completely.
Maybe don't do that. I don't know. I listen, everyone's different when they go to a wrestling show. I used to, cheer and make noise and stuff. I maybe it's the I'm a professional or something. I stopped. I go and I watch it and I'm like taking my mental notes and I'm watching stuff and I'm just like, I don't know, maybe I'm boring to go to wrestling if I can tell people that much.
I can honestly say that I'm still very much, I guess, in the honeymoon phase of professional wrestling and now indie wrestling. So I'm going as a fan. I'm not going, I'm Cresta Star from Fightful. I'm like, I'm going as a girl who wants to yell and cheer and talk about professional wrestling. So shout out to Invictus Pro Wrestling tomorrow at the Bronx Brewery. If you see me there, go ahead and say hi. I'll say hi back to you, but we are there to watch the show. I don't know. I'm in love with wrestling right now, and it's one of my favorite things.
You should be. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not like in love with wrestling or whatever. It's just I think my intake is different from other people's intake. Like some people get more noisy than I do at a show. I just happen to like watch it differently. It doesn't mean I'm not enjoying it, although when it sucks and we talk about it. But like, when it's good, it's really good and you're just kind of enthralled. But that's me. Everyone's kind of different, right? Thank God SB3 caught this. Good. Happy August 1st warning to you too, buddy. Glad you got to see this.
I will say that the last time I went to this Invictus show, there was a guy who was making more than enough noise for the entire crowd. So I'm not worried about someone not reacting.
There's always that one or two people. And especially as we kind of go into TNA stuff, there was, remember Chicago? We were talking about the tapings and the pay-per-view, and there was that one person whose voice just carried, and it bugged the shit out of both of us because she was very loud.
There was someone tonight who was a whistler or had a whistle with them.
Okay, so this was something we didn't talk about before we officially get to this. At Slammiversary, there was a kid with you remember the vuvuzelas that were very popular during World Cup like years and years ago? There was a kid with one. And at one point, during one of the segments where they threw to the announce team, they brought all the kids over. And and that kid with the vuvuzela showed up and he started doing the thing. And don't cap what I just did. That looked bad. And then they took the thing away from the kid. And that was all night. All I could hear was like the sound. And I kept turning. I was sitting with the guys from Love Wrestling. And I was like, do you hear that? And eventually they caught on. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I kept saying, it sounds like the Wyatt Six are coming. It was like that one sound, like the one piano note over and over and over again. I just kept hearing it. And then I finally figured out it was that kid. Did it made Botchamania? Wait, hold on. I gotta ask before we get to the real stuff. Did the Vuvuzela make Botchamania, or did the woman from the Against All Odds show that we're talking about, did that make Botchamania? Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if both.
Honestly, Botchamania is great mind bleach for any sort of wrestling fan. As long as you don't take wrestling too seriously, because I know people are like, oh my God, shut up, just enjoy it. It's funny. They're not hurt in most cases, so just laugh.
Oh, man. All right. Are we ready to do the real thing?
Let's go. Bah, 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 bah.
Let's get in and out. And a 1 and a 2. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com on August 1st, 2024. This is your August 1st warning. It's your TNA Impact post show because it is the day when we talk about TNA every Thursday night. Here myself, I am at Troll Pearl, and I am with the Cresta star, the star of the show, the voice who is voiceless, but she's here tonight. How are you doing?
I'm on my CM Punk. I am the voiceless of the voiceless.
The voiceless with no voice.
It'd be like that. I am doing well. How are you doing tonight, Joe Pearl?
I'm doing okay. It's been a busy week, so I'm glad to sit down and talk TNA with y'all. This was week 2 of the TNA tapings in Montreal, so I was there for that. We'll have a few notes as the conversation goes on. Plenty to talk about tonight. Not only the return of one Matthew J. Cardona, but also some unexpected news and notes coming up. Some from Fightful Select, including the news that Josh Alexander was originally scheduled to win the TNA World title at Slammiversary. And then, well, plans changed, pal. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Mustafa Ali, don't know what his status is in TNA. We're going to talk about that because his match did happen tonight against Nick Nemeth for the TNA World title. And, weddings are great. So we're going to talk about the wedding because weddings are my favorite thing in the whole widest world. I just love love. And I also love it when you guys leave a thumbs up on the video. And if you've already done so, wonderful. Tell your friends to go watch the shows and subscribe to us here at youtube.com/Fightful. If you want to donate a super chat, any amount, get your question or statement read on the air, or a humper chat is your alternative if you're watching on anything that's not YouTube. Cresta Star, tell them how, when, why, where, and how, and what, and where, and what, and tell them.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen to my phone operator voice when I tell you, go to humperchat.com. You take your thumb or your fingers and type in humperchats.com. You put in your comment. We'll read it on air. You can put in any of your dollar amount, and we get to keep more of the donation. It keeps the lights on. We're happy. Sean Ross Sapp is happy. PCO gets brought back to life just one more time with your Humper Chat. Humperchats.com. Ding.
Hold on. Are you trying to tell me that the money that our fans donate goes to the bit where I continue to talk about the revitalization / resurrection of PCO?
Oh, everyone knows you're on the writing team for TNA.
Well, depends who you ask about that one.
I mean, but if you close your eyes and you squint really hard, you are Scarlett Moore's son and you are on the payroll. So get it together, Joel.
That's
You
fair.
can't lie to me anymore.
That's fair. I'll get it together like my big brother, Bob. I'm trying to pull up the Humper chats. But of course, this is always the weirdest. There we go. My account settings. It's the weirdest thing. Listen, if you use a Streamlabs platform, it's great. Sometimes it just changes things around and you don't know where anything is anymore. But I found it. That's all that matters. Shall we start this whole thing with Rascalz? The team was back together, all three of them. They take on this team of Speedball Mountain and Kushida. I really enjoyed that, as commentary mentioned, and that they made reference to this last week. I swear I can speak. They're paying homage to the origins of the X Division with the first episode of Impact, where they had a 6-man tag. Cresta, do you know who the 6-man tag was?
I don't, but I have a feeling Motor City Machine Guns were involved. So was Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. Outside of that, I'm not sure who else.
You went 0 for 6 on that call. Hector Garza, Sanjay Dutt, who you would currently see on AEW Collision, and the Amazing Red, who you frequently see at House of Glory. They defeated the team of Bobby Roode, Eric Young, and Petey Williams. Eric Young still involved with TNA. The other two very much involved behind the scenes with WWE. They were known as Team Canada, as we've discussed before. That was the 6-man tag that opened up the first Impact Wrestling show.
That was Joel's polite yet firm way of saying you're trash.
Why aren't you better at this? Why don't you know everything, man. Cresta?
You know what? How can I work for Fightful if I don't know everything? I'm gonna get fired tomorrow.
If everyone at our platform knew everything, it would suck.
I mean, that's what they pay us for. Don't you know everything, Joel? Jesus.
I mean, I do. If you watch In the Weeds, I'm very lucky that I get to do this with Jeremy Lambert, who when it comes to the news and comes to what people are saying, especially talent or officials, there's that is someone who knows everything. When it comes to the creative, that's my domain, baby, whether you like it or not. That's what I do.
I know nothing. Head empty, no thoughts. I'm here for the hot, slammy, meaty men and women.
Well, hot, slammy Kushida's back, and he's back to normal. Don't know why, but
man.
So here's the thing. This was a bit of a pivot. First of all, Rascalz get the win. They win with Hot Fire Flame. West gives the move. Wentz gets the pin on Trent 7th. And then I like that this feeds into MSK versus Frazier and Axiom on NXT. They promoted that match. I think it's really neat that they are not only promoting it, but that the way that the moves went, the way that the match went, it really looked like it was MSK plus Trey. And they took on Speedball Mountain and Kushida. So the Kushida stuff. We've talked about this. They had to pivot at Slammiversary. They were unable to get Jonathan Gresham into Montreal on time because of the big worldwide travel outage that had happened on the Friday. And instead, they pivoted. They did Rich Swann, and Kushida still did his new character But
Mhm.
by this episode of Impact, he was back to normal. They've also announced that they're going to do Gresham versus Kushida at the tapings this coming, I guess that's tomorrow if you're listening on Thursday, Friday as it would be. They are going to do that at the tapings. They're going to air it this Thursday or next Thursday on Impact. So they're going to get back to it. It just felt like they were kind of, we're a man short. We got to redo it. So Kushida's just going to be back to normal for this week. Just pretend you didn't see Saturday.
I mean, to be honest with you, if we jump back to the match for a second, I was surprised Kushida didn't take the pin. You know what I mean? Like, I was expecting Kushida to take the pin, considering Speedball Mountain, Speedball's your new champion. The Rascalz are on a tear right now on both NXT and TNA. Also, shout outs to commentary and even you getting caught up in the Wesley propaganda. His name is Desmond Xavier now, y'all. Or is it the other way around?
He was Dez in TNA. Now he's Wesley.
Somebody was confusing me because I kept hearing Xavier and West throughout the whole match. And I was like, yo, please, my brain. So maybe I got bamboozled. I was shocked.
He was Desmond Xavier. That was his name in TNA. Or Dez. I just called him Dez. Really made it a lot easier for me. But yeah, now he's obviously Wesley in TNA.
Now you're fine.
Sorry, in
Commentary
WWE.
did it. Commentary did it too. So I was confused. Like, wait, what is his name now?
It's tough to keep track sometimes. Okay. It's like trying to say Zachary Wentz, but all you can say is Carson Wentz. And then you're just like, nope, that's not his name either. It's not Pete Wentz either.
Or Zack Ryder and Matt Cardona.
That one, I've had enough time to figure that one out. I know it's Matt Cardona. I know it's Deathmatch King, Indie-rific Matt Cardona. That one I know. Now, going back to why Kushida didn't take the pin, I did think about this. You have Rascalz as a tag team would want to beat the tag team. So for that, I kind of get it. Trent Seven, honestly, he's the guy that he eats the pin in his tag team, and they're not, out of the three, they're doing the least with him right now.
That's also fair as well.
Kushida's going to be, doing the stuff with Gresham when they tape it next week. Speedball obviously is the X Division champion, like you said, and they're bringing back Ultimate X for TNA Emergence. They did make that announcement. So Speedball's going to be defending that title in Ultimate X at the next big TNA Plus show. We will be covering that as well at the end of August. So it kind of just made sense. The way I saw it was, yeah, Trent could take the pin. No, not much else going on in his world. Why not?
That makes sense. No, now that you've explained it that way, I totally see it.
And again, MSK versus Frazier and Axiom for the NXT tag team titles on Tuesday. Hey, man, there's a chance that the NXT tag team championships could start making appearances on TNA programming. Although it's going to be a little weird to try and put that together if you're taping this weekend and then you're doing the NXT tag title match after the tapings. You know what I'm saying?
Do we have an estimate on how long, if any, the TNA WWE deal is? Because I would imagine they would try to do it with the announcement of somebody just put in chat the Ultimate X match with the announcement of that. I would, if I am TNA or WWE, I would like to get a tag team if they do it with the tag teams in that type of situation.
So two things, it's open-ended. So that partnership lasts as long as both parties are satisfied, which they seem to be. And on top of that, I wouldn't be surprised if NXT talent get involved with Ultimate X. At least one.
Yeah.
It could be as easily as Charlie Dempsey shows up and he's the guy, because that's No Quarter Catch Crew were part of the tapings. They've been part of TNA for the last little bit. We're going to talk about Jordan Grace in just a second. Actually, let's just get into this right now. She has an open challenge set for next week. Tapings are tomorrow night and Saturday. We're going to find out. And her making an open challenge after they just showed an NXT graphic kind of made me think, okay, I think it's another NXT talent. Who could it be? Don't know. I'm sure people are going to, make reference to it. Someone in the chat said Nathan Frazier and Ultimate X. I don't hate that idea, because they've been teasing Nathan Frazier and Axiom, who are the NXT tag team champions, having a bit of a rift and wanting to go singles. Maybe Frazier or Axiom being part of Ultimate X. Maybe that's the play. That would be interesting to me. So the bigger question to me is, can MSK win the tag team titles while still appearing on TNA without the tag team titles around their waist if they're in a match? Pre-tapes are different. Having matches is you can't tape ahead, because then you're giving away the Tuesday match, and they won't do it. They just won't. We're not in that world.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. I just thought, like, not for nothing and very respectfully, the MSK Rascalz, that they weren't just going to win. Like, no shade. Like, WWE has shown a lot of goodwill, but that's not something I can see them doing. And let alone, again, nothing against the Rascalz and MSK, because I think they're fantastic. I'm just saying, based off of WWE's prior history, that if you're going to put someone with a WWE title, I could see Grace or Hendry over the Rascalz. And that's no shade to the Rascalz. And I think they absolutely deserve it. Because like you said, then comes the conundrum of how you going to tape this and book it and show it. I don't know. I think it's doable, but I don't have the wrestling brain for it.
Yeah, it's up to them because they have to figure out how their TV tapings are going to run along with a live product. And this has been talked about by Tommy Dreamer on Busted Open and by other people in TNA. It's really hard to kind of sync everyone up unless everyone's running live around the same time. That's why Slammiversary to me was like one of the perfect times to do it. So I'm of all the NXT tag, of all the NXT titles, I should say, the tag titles are the ones that I could see showing up on TNA. Not the women's championship, not the world, not the NXT championship. I can see the NXT tag titles being the ones that show up there.
And I wouldn't hate a world where the tag titles are in TNA. I think it's a great way to put more eyes on TNA, and I'm always promoting more people to watch TNA. Even if you're one of those people who just want to hate watch it, you're still giving them a view. You're still going out of your way to watch it, and you might find something you like to hate watch it a little bit less. I don't understand hate watching it, but you know what I mean? Like, if it gets more eyes on the product, I'm here for it. I just want it to be booked in a way where it looks fair to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on. Rosemary defeats Cresta. Big shout out to Cresta. She was on In the Weeds last month in July.
Oh, nice.
She's Montreal talent. She's based out of Montreal. She works a lot of shows for IWS. Go check them out. They are fantastic. I will tell you right now, there was a match at the show that IWS did recently. It was Cresta, Kat Creed, who I speak about very frequently, and Masha Slamovich. They had a 3-way for the IWS Women's Championship. So go check that out if you can. If you're a Triller TV Plus subscriber, I'm not being sponsored to tell you about it, but if you are, go check out that IWS show. This was a fully Canadian match. I hope you knew that. Maybe you probably
I know it now.
So Rosemary is Canadian. Cresta, obviously, we just mentioned, Canadian. The referee as well, Harry Demerjian. He is an Ontario legend referee. A friend of mine turned me on to that years ago. But whenever I see Harry, he's great. But fully Canadian. That was good stuff. Rosemary wins. She's back, baby. New haircut, brandishing knives. And then when she's not brandishing knives, she brings out a black rose, leaves it on Cresta, and then she brandishes her knife. But the knife wasn't actually shown on screen. This was after the match. You didn't see it. And then, of course, the whole time, Ash by Elegance and George Iceman, now personal concierge, are kind of watching and making little comments to themselves. What do you think of the match? It was very short. And where are we going with this?
I have one note that says, poor girl got introduced during Rosemary's entrance. She at least got a little bit of offense in, and that was it. I don't know what we do with Rosemary. I do like the buildup of her saying, well, I lost all my friends. Havoc is gone. Ty is gone. Black Taurus is gone. I almost called him Clown Man. Jesus Christ. Crazy Steve is gone. Like
Clown Man, she says.
No, because sometimes he reminds me, I don't know if you've seen that meme of this killer clown who has on white makeup, but he has on black lips and like black eyes. He's like, I don't know. That's why it reminds me of Crazy Steve. Like, he's the type of person, if he was a serial killer, he's smiling while stabbing you. I don't know. Anywho, I don't know what we're doing here, and I hope that Rosemary becomes a deathmatch specialist. I don't know why. I've been craving to see that. Even though I am the squishiest person in the room, I kind of want to see Rosemary just terrorize that women's roster. I don't know why.
She's got to use the knife.
She's halfway there.
So... and she's going after Ash because Ash took out her last friend. That's really what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. Remember when they were showing the promos between Jordynne Grace and Ash by Elegance going into Slammiversary, and they randomly brought up again that Ash took out Jessica Havoc in a
Yeah.
fit of rage. And I said, why? Well, that's such a silly thing to just suddenly bring up. Well, that's why they did it, is because Rosemary is going to seek revenge for her friend, who will inevitably be coming back into the fold sooner than later. That's really what the story is.
I love Havoc. I think she's a fantastic wrestler, and she is somebody that I can honestly say that is someone I want to see versus some NXT girlies, like a big girly. And the only big girly I know in NXT is Lash Legend. Like, she's tall.
She's very tall. A lot of those girls are. The Jordan just deceptively small.
That's true, and I also don't watch NXT, so I don't have a depth of knowledge.
It's funny because like Kalani Jordan, who is the NXT North American Women's Champion, she's short. But there are a lot of Roxanne Perez is another one, Little Vice. They're very short. You watch them get in the ring and you're just like, I can't see them. But they're also powerhouses. Like, I'm not making fun of anything other than the fact that like some of these women are like 5 feet tall. Jordan Grace, again, 5'1". She said it herself. If God made me tall, we'd have a bigger problem or something like that.
She'd be too powerful. If she was taller than 5'5", she'd be too powerful.
So that was no shade at any of these women. It's just
they're fantastic.
When you see them in real life, sometimes you're just like, oh, because I've had a few interviews where I've just been like, Raquel Rodriguez was a funny one because her and I were similar height, but then Natty, and she's wearing high boots, she like came up to here on me. Like, you watch the interviews, they're in the archives.
Mm-hmm.
And then who was another one was Nikki Cross. I always knew was much shorter than me, and she was also wearing boots with heels and everything. I was just like, I feel weird when I interview people who are shorter than me. Anyway, not the point. The point here is that Rosemary's back and she's going after Ash by Elegance, and Ash by Elegance is gonna try and bring the mean streak back. I hope. We'll find out soon.
We'll see. I had a lot of complaints about the match that she had with Grace, but I'm always still hopeful because I know that TNA can tell a good story, and I'm hopeful that Ash by Elegance will lean into this mean streak. Even if she brought back the Thanos knuckles, I would be okay with it.
The system. They're just trying to get back on track. All that matters here, the most newsworthy thing that came from this is that Moose called JDC the loose cannon. And I didn't expect that nickname for Johnny Dango Curtis. So we'll see where that goes. The system. They're still around.
They still got their USA suits on. They still got their clown noses on.
Well, they're still in Montreal, so they just did one. I love how it's like last week it was Lish saying all the things and they just looked dejected and sad. And then this week they're like, it's like she turned around after the first taping and like just said, get your shit together.
Fix your face. We're going to take these photos again.
Just Mama Lish just getting everyone in order. And then this week, of course, they start to come around. And that's fine. I'm looking forward to seeing how the system gets back on track, where they regroup and where they go. Santana seems to want to get a piece of them because he said, cuts a promo right afterwards, says cracks are showing in the system. He says the devil comes to collect. He has unfinished business with them, calls them out, and then Campaign Singh walks in. He interrupts and challenges Santana to a match. And then Santana stops himself short of saying, it smells like a bitch.
It smells like bitch in here.
Oh, it's good stuff, man. Santana's up next. He is up next. But actually up next is Josh Alexander. Let's talk about this. So Fightful Select reported, best $5 in the business. By the way, if you haven't already, go subscribe to Fightful Select. We got the news, we got the scoops, and we got more than you can ever imagine for only $5 a month. So go do that. There were plans to have Josh Alexander win the TNA World Championship at Slammiversary. Some expected Joe Hendry to win, but that wasn't planned either. I'm reading this verbatim because it's been a day, so people have already picked up on this. Based on what Fightful Select heard, as of May, the original plan, this was as of May, by the way, was for Josh Alexander to emerge as the world champion upon his heel turn. We haven't heard why things changed, but it was hinted to Fightful that it was because they felt Josh Alexander and Joe Hendry could continue their feud on their own. We were told Hendry was added to the match to reflect his popularity, which is something you and I, Cresta Star, have mentioned over and over and over again. And Joe Hendry has also commented the same thing. What do you think of that? Josh Alexander could have been the world champion, but Joe Hendry screwed everything up.
I mean, I am very lucky to be watching wrestling in a time like this. And this is the second time watching wrestling live I have seen this. Maybe the third if you count Sami Zayn trying to become WWE champion. The first time was Becky Lynch becoming the man and becoming champ. This is by sheer force of will. And the only other time I could think of that I didn't watch that someone through sheer force of will 2 times was Zack Ryder with the internet champ doing that stuff online where he got so over you had to do something with him, and Bryan Daniel in the Federation where no matter who was out there, they were chanting, yes, yes, yes. I love that. But also, I can imagine how frustrating that's got to be when you have a plan. It's like, you're going to not just add Joe Hendry? He's so over. I want him to win everything, but I think that's a testament to how you can get over whether you wrestle or you're a great talker. And he is very fortunate to be both. Man, that's crazy. Imagine you being so popular that you mess up everything. Dang.
You mentioned it. It's happened before. It's not new, but it is something that is it doesn't happen very often. It is rare. We got a super chat from It's Really Brian. It said sending a humper chat to keep the Decepticons happy. Good stuff. Thank you. And said thanks Joel for quote tweeting my Joe Hendry picture from NXT House Show on Friday. I hadn't seen his tweet about possibly showing up, so it was a legit surprise and I was sports entertained. I'm glad that you were sports entertained. For those who don't know, Joe Hendry showed up at an NXT house show during the Florida loop, where, on the weekends, NXT goes on the road, but they are working like smaller rooms in Florida where you get an idea of how to basically they learn like setting up the ring, working security, working merch. Like they really get a full experience of what wrestling can be when you're coming up, and it's a more controlled environment, but it's still that like indie style presentation. So Joe Hendry had tweeted out something like, if you say my name, I'll appear. What are you up to tonight? Davenport, which is where they were, Davenport, Florida. And he showed up. He was on the show. They booked him. He came. Joe Hendry worked an NXT live event. And then recently he was talking about his NXT deal, quote unquote, including PC training, which is great. So he's over, man. He's over like Rover. You cannot deny it. But like I keep saying, this is new. Mm-hmm. And some people will say, strap the rocket to him. What are you doing? Oh my God. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, I watched this. I'm watching this in real time. I'm watching him move up really quickly and it's amazing, but there's a story to be told about his ascent. And he's still going to be okay in a year, possibly 6 months. So let it ride. Let it start to build. Let people be upset as long as they're not actively turning off the programs.
I think that another concern is, and I will say that in the past few years since I've been watching, a lot of people who are popular, sometimes they strike when the iron, you should have struck a month ago, 2 months ago, and now we're 6 months in, and the popularity and fame that you would have gotten then, you don't have now. So I can understand both sides of the coin of don't be silly, do it now. One example I think of right off the top of my head is the Acclaimed. I think that in one instance they waited a little too long, and then in the other they did it too fast, and then there was nothing for them right after. So I don't want them to put it on Joe Hendry and then there's nothing, but I can see the argument that there is a built-in Josh Alexander, there is a built-in Moose. I don't know. I just think any company to have Joe Hendry is very lucky right now, and I think going forward his career is going to be very long and luxurious, like something with nice hair. Add your pejorative there.
All right. I didn't expect that ending. Josh Alexander. So going back to what happened tonight, doesn't come out to the live crowd. Instead, he gets interviewed backstage by Gia Miller, and he essentially just says, he doesn't care about anyone else but himself anymore. And then Ryan Nemeth kind of walks by after Josh walks away and says, checks on Gia, you okay? Okay, we're good. And then that gets to Frankie Kazarian defeating Ryan Nemeth. Slingshot Cutter gets the win. Very simple match. Doesn't really matter as much. The post match is what happens. Alexander comes out, C4 spike on Ryan Nemeth, and the crowd is not happy. This was fine. I didn't have much to add. Just Josh Alexander doing what he's doing now that he's a heel.
Still can't believe Josh Alexander got a Canadian crowd to boo him. That's kind of crazy. And he's being a jerk about it, and I kind of live. It's very Frankie Kazarian jerk, spoiled brat, and I kind of live.
I love that the way that they did it. They took their most popular star, Joe Hendry, who has become suddenly Mr. Wrestling, Mr. TNA, and they stripped that moniker from Josh. Josh is jealous. I can speak. So Josh is jealous, and as a result, he is going to go after Joe Hendry, which is what happened at Slammiversary, and they're going to feud over who is Mr. TNA. The moniker doesn't matter as much as the idea of what's going on matters. So for Josh, he's pissed, and rightfully so. He's been on this journey for so long that he thinks he deserves to be continued to be loved by the fans. So instead, someone says in the chat, he's the gatekeeper. He has been the gatekeeper. So now he's going to try and gatekeep the guy who took his moniker. This works. And the way that they did it, they took the most popular guy, he turned on him, and they did it in Canada. And the way that you continue that heat is by saying, I like Toronto better, because Montreal, Toronto, not friendly. In like pro sports rivalries and so on and so forth, whatever. Like when he said, I want to go home to Toronto, it's the best city in the world. Like I was the only person in the crowd cheering very loudly. You want to talk about me cheering in the crowd? When a heel says something that I immediately feel in the bottom of my heart, like he's right. I need to tell him he's right. That's when I will show my emotion. I was
10 out of 10, Joel.
I was out of my chair for that one. That was the most important part.
She was like, I want to go home now.
Is that an option?
Can I leave right now? Can I see this like in live, but also leave?
send me a satellite feed. I'm gonna get on the train and go home. That's all I should do. Anyway, so the Josh Alexander stuff is working out. Him without the world title works. Just like going over to WWE land, just like Drew McIntyre and CM Punk is working without a world title involved. That's the king of petties. That's what that feud is. This is turning into the not the king of TNA, because that's Frankie, but this is turning into who is Mr. TNA. This is who deserves to be the person you cheer for.
Josh Alexander literally is one step away from it. Should have been me, and I would kind of scream.
He's great. So I'm looking forward to it. So this is uncharted waters for Josh in TNA as a singles competitor.
It's good. It's good. It's a good heel turn. It's good.
Yeah, looking forward to the TV tapings and what they get out of that, because they have some heat behind it. I hope they continue it. Jody Threat defeats Masha Slamovich. They showed footage of the match at Bloodsport from this past weekend, where it was Masha versus Jody, and Masha got the win on that. Still think Jody in a real fight would beat Masha Slamovich. I'm just saying. The woman is tougher than you think. Anyway.
Bro, her abs, she's on some Finn Balor stuff. I noticed that girl. She looks so good.
Yeah, she's been getting a lot of work in, a lot of reps in. So shout out Jody Threat, man. She's outside, as AJ Francis would say.
She is outside. That was good, Joel. You ate that.
Yes. Vindication. They do the Slammiversary setup where Lish sets up the tag team title belt on the turnbuckle, but Jody counters it. Masha hits the belt instead. Jody wins with the pop shove. It feels like we're going to go to a rematch. Anything to add?
Honestly, no. If I'm Masha, I'm kind of getting annoyed with Alicia Edwards.
I wouldn't mind those two having some problems, and who knows, maybe they drop the titles at the TV tapings and a certain killer returns into the fold.
I love that for me in particularly.
You're not the only one. The gay Titanic panic, whatever you called it once upon a time, we're back, baby.
Rhea Ripley and Killer Kipley. Oh my goodness.
Killer Kipley. Yes, we are back this week.
Killer Kipley, the new wrestler.
Amazing.
Lord have mercy. Next segment.
Joe Hendry wants to be TNA World Champion. This segment, talking about live crowd versus pre-tape, this actually replaced an in-person segment that Joe Hendry did for the crowd. They had Gia Miller come out on the stage. Hendry came out, did his full entrance, which was just comical because they're standing on the stage and like they're both, as people are doing the wave your hands from side to side, they're like looking out into the crowd and pointing at them and just kind of making little like, oh, they're doing it, look how fun. Anyway, they did a whole like interview segment live for the crowd and they didn't air it. So I guess this kind of replaced it because he said effectively the same things. The promo itself live in Montreal was like, it was fine, it was good, but at the end of the day, all that matters is he wants to be world champion, and he puts over the fact that he loves being in TNA despite having all of these experiences in NXT, and the fact that everyone keeps beating the shit out of him whenever he tries to do anything.
I thought that was very important. It was literally the Diddy, more money, more problems. The more popular I become, the more I get jumped. And let's go back to you being a heel and you taking that man's inheritance and you impregnating that man's wife. Even that being said, you don't deserve half the stuff that's happened to you. So I do think it's an interesting angle if we want to keep him away from the TNA title just for a little bit, to build on his momentum, to build on his popularity and ride that wave. But, it was a solid video package. I liked it.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I like it. And we'll let Joe Hendry continue his rise. Santana defeats Campaign Singh. Speaking of people on the rise, Spin the Block gets the win. Man, Santana's next up. Cuts a post-match promo, says it essentially calls out the system and Moose, and he still wants the TNA World title. The funniest part is at the end of the promo, he throws that mic up in the air. I can tell you now, any wrestling show you ever go to ever, if you are crew and you see that happens, you hate that.
The tears coming down your face because those microphones are a pain.
They are a pain in the butt, and they are not cheap. And you just, like WWE, I heard enough people who used to work around backstage. I would hear so many people being like, "Come on, man, why are you tossing that shit around?"
Stop doing it. Also, I would say poor Campaign Singh. If you were trying to prove your loyalty, it's a chop. It's a chop.
Yeah, some in the chat saying those mics ain't cheap. The thing is, like, they're cheaper than they've ever been because they are so mass produced, but like they're not indestructible either. They can go, you spit on too much and that shit goes sour. But it's just really funny when I see him just like throw it way up in the air and it lands outside of the ring. Someone, like, you can see in the background, someone tries to catch it. That's always the biggest concern.
Do you think people give it back or people try to keep it?
Oh, they'll try to keep it, but like someone goes and grabs it. Like there's a floor director there. Shout out to Ingrid. She's good at grabbing the shit that doesn't belong outside of the barricades.
Understandable. Come on, Ingrid. Yes.
And not a problem this time. The mic didn't bounce into the crowd. And usually like that mic gets cut anyway the second that it leaves the hands of the competitor. So it's not like someone can grab the microphone and just start saying shit.
Going into business for themselves.
Yeah, because I mean the biggest fear is someone says something they're not supposed to, something just abhorrent. Anyway, world title time. Nick Nemeth defeats Mustafa Ali. So trying to think, was this match taped before or after the wedding? I think it was taped after the wedding, which was very strange live to see them just flip-flop it. And I'm watching this later than everyone else because I'm doing multiple things while I'm watching TNA tonight, and I get a message from Gisberto, who does our thumbnails, saying, "Hey Joel, is the wedding the main event?" And I'm like, I guess so. So the big news here, Mustafa Ali loses. Nick Nemeth defends his title successfully. Nick Nack wins it. Give the man a title. I just wanted to see the look on your face. You're welcome.
I even wrote Nick Nack in my dag notes.
Yes.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. I couldn't even think of what the name of it was. Like, I know it's not the famouser, and it's not the Nick Nack, but that's all I could think of is Nick Nack Patty Whack.
Give the man a belt.
Biggest heel in the business, ladies and gentlemen, Joel Pearl.
I do like that commentary references the fact that this is the first time the world title's been defended on an episode of Impact since November 9th. Alex Shelley defeated Jonathan Gresham. That match was taped October 2nd, so you can go even for October 22nd, so you can go even further backwards. This is really the big news, isn't the match. It's actually the tweets and note that Mustafa Ali posted on Twitter around the time the match finished. I don't know if you had a chance to see this.
I did not. I was focusing on my brain energy because I got 2 brain cells and they're fighting for supremacy.
So I'll read it verbatim. Dated August 1st, 2024. My fellow citizens of TNA, over the past 6 months, we have made great progress as a company. Today, TNA has the strongest fan base in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our X division, in lowering the number of senior citizens on our roster, and in expanding affordable tickets to a record number of fans worldwide. We've provided critically needed entertainment to millions, passed the first limits rule for the X division in 22 years, featured the X division championship on the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated for the first time since 2006, appointed the first Pakistani Indian American as champion, main evented record-breaking attendance shows. TNA has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the citizens of TNA. Together, we overcame unfit and unfair leaders. We've protected and preserved our X division, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances with promotions all around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your X Division champion, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the X Division for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my independent obligations for the remainder of my term. I will not speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me re-elected. I want to thank Campaign Singh for being an extraordinary campaign manager in all this work. Let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the citizens of TNA for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing that TNA can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are TNA. Signed, Mustafa Ali.
I feel like I got trolled. If that was a tweet?
It was a tweet, and the letter was tweeted. It was basically the Biden resignation.
Okay. I'm about to say, because you paid for Twitter for that, because that was a long tweet. I was falling asleep. It's a long tweet. Like,
yeah. So the question becomes, where is Ali? Is he done with TNA? It's been 6 months. This is not the first time TNA has done a 6-month contract with a large scale star. He's not booked for the TV tapings. In fact, he had a taping that recently was supposed to be for tomorrow night, and it got canceled. So he's free, but he lost the X Division Championship. 2 weeks later, he loses a world title match. If I were Ali as character, I'd be taking time off and coming back with a new move in a little bit.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Like, maybe just step away. Campaign Singh effectively got fired, let go tonight because he got beat up by Mike Santana. So it makes sense if Ali goes away. You let the world title scene breathe a little bit, because Ali is definitely a contender if he wants to come back, if that's what he chooses to do.
We will see. I would like it to be time off. Again, he's not booked for this show, which means he wouldn't be booked for anything up until Emergence, which is at the end of August. If he takes the entire month off of TNA programming and shows up at Emergence, maybe he's the surprise entrant into the Ultimate X. Not that they have one, or not that they've said there will be one. Maybe there's something there. If Ali is still a unsigned free agent, as he is with TNA, in regards to TNA, maybe he shows up somewhere else. Maybe he goes to Ring of Honor. Maybe he goes to AEW. Maybe he just runs the indies for a while. But I feel like we might see him back in TNA. I think TNA fans would like to see Mustafa Ali back as early as Emergence.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also think that there's more to this. There's more mileage in that campaign gimmick that he's got going on. I think it's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and think it's brilliant. I think there's a lot more for him to do with that. And if he wants to, you could absolutely do something like that in an NXT crossover as well. Campaign everyone to be on your side, no matter who it is. And you can say that I bring people together and have it be a War Games with Ali on the pole.
I would love Ali to be back in NXT just to get that North American Championship shot that he never got. But then he'd have to face Obafemi right now. And that would be...
Oh, no, that's a large man. I don't care. He's L-O-R-G-E, a large.
He's very large. I would love to see it. If you know what, maybe there's a story in there. I would love to see the big man, little man. But this was... Listen, if this is the end of Ali in TNA, hell of a run.
Agreed.
I don't think he missed really once thinking about it. That's maybe not true. He definitely had a lot more hits than misses. We'll absolutely say that.
Yes.
Came in strong character with a very good idea of where he wanted things to go. And I'm glad that it wasn't world title. I'm glad that it became an X Division story, because how many times have we seen, ex WWE guy wins the title, LOL. This was different, and it was told differently, and I really like that.
And I think the X Division and the I'm sorry, the Digital Media Championship are the perfect titles for a storyline like this. You can either elevate them in the case of the Digital Media Championship, which I think has a story pass from feeling unimportant to super important depending on who it's handled, and the X Division, which feels super important, like I want to say the Intercontinental back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Absolutely. So I hope Ali doesn't leave. I think there's more to give, but also, go do what makes you happy. Do yourself a wrestle, young man.
I've mentioned this before. It is so easy in terms of working the TNA brand while being an independent. You can come in, do 2 nights of television tapings, and then the rest of the time you're good to go. Other than any media obligations, you are free to work whatever indies you choose to work. And that works for someone like Ali, who had come out of WWE, wanted to prove his point, went on a full spree working wherever he wanted. And when he showed up in TNA, it was like, I've got to be at tapings, once a month for a couple of days and maybe a live show here and there. It's a good gig to have if that's the way you operate as a wrestler. So
no, agreed. It's something super easy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not super easy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, if it's your style, then you're gonna want to do it like that. That's the one thing about TNA that I always preach, and other companies do this too. It's not just TNA. MLW is another one that offers a similar deal where they go live, but then they tape as well. There's opportunity there. So we'll see where he lands. I feel like if I'm Ali and I'm happy, stick around for a little bit. But for now, take the time off. It's time for a breather. Yeah. Well, we don't need to breathe through this. We need a good cry. It's the wedding. I'm sorry.
I know you loved it, and I can't wait for your reaction.
But
honestly, I was kind of let down.
Because no one was shot and it didn't have a Tommy Dreamer saying no.
Yeah. Honestly, I know that sounds so cheesy to say, but the weddings that they normally have set the bar so ridiculously high of this person running in and this person running in. And I literally wrote in my notes, where's Matt Cardona? And then 2 business seconds go by and here's Matt Cardona. We get him, and I'm like, I'm not mad, but I also feel a little let down.
Well, we did call this literally like a good solid 2 to 3 months ahead of time. We when this started, we called it. I want to go back and find the moment where we were just talking about it, and it just happened. Where I just said,
you were like, they're going to have a wedding.
Yeah. And I just remember the look on your face, being like, no. And I was so dead set on it happening. So Xia Brookside's the maid of honor. Rhino is in his wrestling gear and he's wearing a tie. God bless. PCO is in a suit wearing both titles. Santino is presiding. Steph DeLander comes out looking beautiful as Elvira in a white dress with Destro accompanying her to the ring because her family couldn't make it from Australia. I will say this. I was surprised that they didn't do a backstage segment to establish that Rhino and Xia were asked to be maid of honor, best man. Like, they didn't really explain why they were specifically asked. And I get it. They were already kind of in each other's orbit, so it made sense. But I just wanted that little extra where, PCO approaches Rhino and just goes, and like gives him the ring. And Rhino's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And then Steph and Xia doing like a girls' night, whatever. And something to set it up.
Bachelorette vignette.
Yeah, which is hilarious because in NXT, she was introduced at a bachelorette. Like, the Persia Parada character that Steph DeLander played was introduced fully at a bachelorette for Indy Hartwell. She knows wrestling weddings. We talked to her about that on In the Weeds, by the way. Go check out that interview with Steph DeLander. I knew it was coming, so I had to ask her about it. The vows. They make comical vows to each other. And they get to the vow from PCO, who speaks perfect English for 2 seconds just to say, Stephanie, my vow to you. And then he, I don't know, how can I put this?
You got to full send it.
He gyrates in her general direction.
While yelling.
Shit is so stupid that I just love it. Oh, yeah. Someone in the chat saying Rhino should have given a best man speech that's just full of swearing. Watch his old ECW stuff. Amazing.
Yeah.
They do the ring exchange. There's a ring. There's a finger. They sell it. It's the grandma ring. And then out come AJ Francis and Rich Swann. First class come out. Hey, shout out to AJ Francis, by the way. His dog Gunna, he lost him today. Gunna was sick. Go check out AJ's Twitter. He had posted an entire day. He was like, I'm not letting my boy go down sad. He like gave him the best day ever. It was so incredibly heartwarming. Sending our love to AJ because that's a shitty thing to have to deal with.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you gave Gunna the best day. So sending our love. And he said he wanted to witness the freak show, the wedding, which was like so apt. I loved it.
When they came out, I thought like, yes, the shenanigans are about to start. Who's getting sacrificed? Where's the cake? But they literally just said that they were going to stand there, and that's what they did.
And that's kind of okay. I'm okay with it. And then they do the "you can kiss the bride," and then Santino says, "No, you can French kiss the bride." And then I didn't realize this because I was live in the crowd and I should have heard it. The crowd was chanting something. They were chanting "un bisou," which is one kiss. So just one kiss. So they're saying "un bisou," and as they do the kiss, and then Matt Cardona comes out. Matt Cardona is back again. Something that you and I talked about. It was definitely going to happen. He hits PCO with a gift that he unwraps. It's a cinder block. He grabs both the titles and says, "These are mine." And then he tries to grab Steph, but she protests, says, "You ruined my day. It's all about you. What the hell's wrong with you?" And of course, this will all end with Steph turning on PCO as Matt Cardona wins the Digital Media Championship, and I guess the International Canadian Heavyweight Championship for some reason.
I thought the same thing. I thought Steph was going to turn on PCO tonight, but I love the slow burn. I'm here for it. I love Steph DeLanda, but that acting was terrible. You don't love that zombie, and I don't blame you. He got into an electric chair to get married to you. That's not how I want to jumpstart this relationship. I'll be here all week.
Nice jumpstart.
Thank you.
Good stuff. I appreciate it. And that's TNA Emergence. We're going in a month. We will be live every week going up until that show. And we're live every week talking about TNA Impact. And we're live after Emergence to talk about that show. And then 2 weeks after that, it's going to be Victory Road. So we're going to be live again. They've moved venues. They're not in Cleveland anymore. They're going to be on the West Coast, which might be good, but we'll find out soon enough. Until then, Cresta Star, what you got going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me here every Thursday with Joe Pearl going over all things TNA. This Saturday, there will be no Collision post show. It comes on at 5 p.m. because there is SummerSlam that night at like 7 or 8 or whatever time their post show is. Or their pre-show is. I don't know. If you need more Cresta Star in your life, follow me on X. Cresta V Star. There's a link tree in my bio where you can find all the post shows I've been in, all the fun stuff. I sometimes hang out on Grab City, and I stream for myself on Twitch and TikTok at Cresta Star, CRESTASTARR. Joe Pearl, where can they find you and what you got going on?
Easy to find. Socials at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL, in the weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on our sister channel, Fightful Overbooked. Tomorrow, because I can, Cam Hawkins is going to join us. He's going to talk about his latest with the Ringer. If you know, you know, he's going to be with us, and we're going to talk about that and other stuff. Plenty to talk about on in the weeds. So go subscribe to that, and on your way out tonight, leave a thumbs up, huh? Leave a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, and if you're listening in audio form after the gimmick, leave us a 5-star review, would you? Dijak and Ali announced for the September 5th House of Glory show in Chicago. So there you go. The meeting is back, baby.
Oh, the House of Glory show that's happening in September in New York is having Joe Hendry, and I have to make sure I get my tickets ASAP.
Get them. And while you're getting them, we'll just see you next week, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, friends of me on the binary. We'll see you then. Cheers.
Good night.